So for me, it all began with a colonics. Do you know what a colonics is? At the end of 2008, somebody said to me, well, might as well get a cleansing of your body, your physical body. A colonics is actually when you get water pumped up your intestines, to clean them out. Sounds good, right? Little did I know that God is going to give me a spiritual colonics, also colonics, a colon cleanse. And the way this happened was, first of all, the lady who administered this colon cleanse didn't give me the proper advice what to eat afterwards. She said, oh yeah, eat whatever you feel like, steak, everything. So I was really hungry, and I did eat steak. I did eat some raw vegetables, and only to find out that it was the worst thing I could have ever done to my system. My stomach couldn't handle it. My entire digestive system was breaking down. I couldn't even keep food anymore. It was like totally in turmoil. My entire system, I was totally wiped out. And I was so shocked about this. And then I thought, what can I do to recover? And of course, you go on a special diet. But on top of that, during that time when I was going through this, I heard my husband talking to a brother on the phone. And he was talking about something with the board. And the more I listened to that, the more angry I got, because I thought, how can they decide this without asking me? And I got really upset with my husband that he did that. By the way, I have an awesome husband, a very wonderful husband. I wish he was here, because I usually would kiss him in front of you, yeah? Because he's a great husband. I love him very much. And it had nothing to do with him, really, right? This anger that I felt was here. So I thought, what on earth, why am I so angry about this small thing, really? And more than that night, I couldn't sleep because I felt pain in my heart area, physical pain in my heart, where I felt I really need to call 911 because it felt so intense that I couldn't stand it anymore. But I kept breathing, and so forth. So the next day I called a friend who is a spiritual healer, actually, and she can kind of zero in on people's bodies and everything. And I said, what is going on? And she said to me, your heart is actually fine. Your physical body is fine. But your spiritual heart is suffering. You have a lot of anger in you. And the heart can't take it anymore. And I thought, what? That much? Yeah, you have... and then she said, even from your childhood, sometimes you were angry and you didn't really talk about it, or, and I said, yeah, what do I do now, What do I do? And she said, she told me about a technique that I could try. And she said, just sit down and start writing. Think about when you were young, like 4 or 5, and what you felt. And I thought, this is impossible. But I thought, okay, let's try it. Okay, so that day I had nothing else to do, and I started writing about the young Angelika when she was 4. And suddenly incredible feelings came through. Feelings of where I felt, I couldn't express myself, and my father was strong and criticized me all the time. And I was, I was very curious, inquisitive, and then I was always made to be quiet, good German. And quietness. And I was sitting there trying to feel, what is, this feeling. And I told my father in my spirit, I told him how I felt. And the more I wrote, the more I realized, well, actually, that was not his fault, really. Because his father had the same issues with him, and his father, and his father, and his father. And suddenly I realized, this is not about my father. This is about an issue, a situation that is long time before has existed. And then I had about 3 sessions like this. I went through a lot of stages in my life, and many, many tears came. I revisited those places. But I also decided I'm going to let them go. This is the last time I'm going to feel this. And this was the process for me to come to a very deep place in my heart, where I then could shed tears of love for my parents, where I could shed tears of gratitude that I found a spiritual parent who brought me out of that scenario into a new reality. When we received the blessing here in our movement, that's actually real. I always thought it was, intellectually we understand, we are receiving a great gift of changing the lineage, but however, it didn't really dawn on me inside what it means until I literally felt in my emotions that this is a real change from the old paradigm as we know it in this history to a totally new paradigm that God is trying to create. However, I have my homework to do, and that is my homework, to go back to clean up, to accept what was. I cannot change that and not be upset about it anymore. Accept it, but then move on and let it go. So that's the first step, to even receive a deeper level of love from God. As a pastor, you have to love everybody. And I noticed sometimes there were blocks, I couldn't really fully embrace certain people. And then I realized it had to do with that in myself. So the more I removed those blocks, the more I became free to love and feel the love of God, literally, more. And I also realized my health got better. I dare say that much of our health has to do with our negative emotions and patterns. So if we want to build a new world, a new self, we cannot just build it and pretend nothing happened. We have to go there and clean it up. And that's just one way to do it. There are many other ways, maybe through serving others or through repentance. There are many ways to do this. But for me, it was a very powerful experience. So on that airplane, I repeated that. I thought I released that anger. God is in charge. And so I wrote and wrote and wrote, and then I tear it up. That works for me. So that was, yeah. The thing is to then also realize that the things that God gives us every day, even the difficult ones, are for our benefit if we choose to use them as an opportunity to change. So the oil spill, that represents all the garbage coming out right now, to me. All these, the earth is in upset, the earth is upset, the planet, because God's sons and daughters are not to be seen. We can do whatever we want for the environment and write papers and talk about it. That will not change anything. Only when we, people, change our hearts and realize who we really are, where we come from, what our origin is. And that origin is none other than God, our Heavenly Parent. So that's what Father and Mother Moon have been trying to teach us for the last 50 years. But it's hard to get there in reality. So, and also it takes a certain willingness to go to this place and look at myself, look in the mirror. We can complain about so many things that are occurring even within our movement. But what good is that? The real thing, the real issue is, where am I right now? Where's my relationship with God? And what can I contribute to the positive development of everything? Because we have to go beyond what meets the eye. Sometimes you don't see that God has some amazing blessing right behind that cloud if you just stay the course. So as I stayed on that plane, I got here safely. And I had a wonderful meeting with my sisters last night, my women. So much blessing came. This morning I fell again, so if you see this hole here, by the way, it's because I fell again this morning. But it's whatever comes, if you can just maintain that heart of wanting to address it and turn it into something positive. So that's number one.